I was going to do a proper, full-length, professionally edited video on this game, but after playing this game for about 25 hours, I have deemed it not worthy of my time to do a deep dive video. Also, if you can't tell by my voice already, I am sick and sound like crap. And if you can't tell what video game I'm talking about because this video just played after what you watched last and haven't seen the title or the thumbnail, I'm talking about the upcoming game Avowed. And I'm not going to lie, I was very excited about this game when it was first announced because it's by the developers of, I think, Fallout New Vegas, Obsidian Games. They're a good developer, but after seeing some of the comments made by the developers of this game, it has left a sour taste in my mouth. So I was going to skip this game entirely, but fortunately for you, somebody gifted me an early copy of this game so that I could warn you. So let's start with the most basic question. Is Avowed a good game? I don't know about good, but it definitely is a game. And it's even more of a game than Dragon Age Veilguard. I mean, this story is pretty much a one-for-one copy of the Dragon Age Veilguard story, just with a different setting. In a nutshell, there's a blight taking over all the land and corrupting people and making them turn violent and attack each other. But you have a connection with an ancient forgotten god who speaks to you in your head and in your dreams. And it's up to you to stop it. Will you let your inner goddess shine, or will you remain a slave to the Empire and the evil patriarch? And you can see where this is going. If your pronouns are he/him, then this is not a game for you. From the start of the game, I felt like I was sitting in on somebody else's Dungeons and Dragons session. No idea where I am, no idea what I'm doing, and don't recognize any of the other characters around me. And what's even stranger is it feels like I'm not welcome in this Dungeons and Dragons session. It feels like I've been invited to play Dungeons and Dragons by a female friend of mine, and all the other players are female except for the Dungeon Master, who hates men and is really threatened with your presence there. He's the Discord server owner, and all the girls are his little kittens. And this is not an exaggeration. There's not a single important male character in the game. All the male characters in the game are either weak, snaky, pathetic, or just gay. The very first male character you meet is some sort of scared little furry guy who ends up tagging along with you through your very first mission, which kind of acts like a tutorial, and then he disappears and you never see him again. The second male character you meet is a Navi knockoff looking blue fella called Kai, who ends up becoming one of your companions. I mean, it is kind of weird that Kai is overtly sexualized in this game. He wears this deep V-cut shirt which shows off his pecs, and he's got bigger breasts than all of the women in the game. But that's not saying much because all of the women in the game have no breasts. At most, it looks like they're dudes that have gone through about 6 months of HRT. But I digress. Kai wears like a necklace that has a carving of a whale on it, and I'll get back to that a bit later. And the third male character you meet is the ambassador for the Empire, who is of the Adirian race, which is basically the white race. I honestly think it's supposed to be a play on the word Aryan. And of course, the Adirian race, or Adirian race, or whatever you call it, they are the bad guys. The white guys in this are the bad guys. Just a warning, if you choose this race, you will get an earful of just how bad your people are. You will be called colonizers and racists, but in terminology fitting for the game, at least. Anyway, the ambassador is a spineless, snobbish bastard who cowers to his superior, the Inquisitor, a badass female called Ludwig. No, I do not remember most of these characters' names because they're very forgettable, but her name does sound something like Ludwig. The fourth male character, or at least I think it's a male character, the gender on this person is very ambiguous, is an assassin who failed to kill you. You eventually track him down and confront him, and are then given the option to either spare him and forgive him, or kill him. Being the good Christian that I am, I decided to spare him and forgive him because he did seem remorseful after all. Oh, I almost forgot. One of the guys that helps you track down this assassin is a dwarf called Marius. He's a badass tracker who beats up 6 guys at a bar, and he seems kind of cool. That is, of course, until you learn a bit more about him later in the game, but we'll get to that. The next male character you meet is the leader of the Animancers. And the Animancers is like the lore accurate version of their necromancers. And in this game, the necromancers are the good guys. But because he's a guy, he is stupid and arrogant and won't listen to the advice of one of the smartest animancers in the entire town called Giata. And instead of listening to her, he just exiles her for speaking back to him. This results in the entire town being burnt down by the evil white man. And Giata ends up becoming your third companion or party member. Then you meet the Dwarven leaders, and I can't remember if they're husband and wife or brother or sister or whatever, but you have the female one, which is very loyal to the Dwarven traditions, and then you have the male, which is ready to sell out his entire Dwarven fortress for a bit of gold. Us men, we're so sneaky and so snaky. And to be honest, that is about all of the men I can really remember in this game. The 2 male companions, Kai and Marius, aren't as involved in the story as the 2 female companions, and their stories really fizzle out and become really lame when you do their companion quests. For instance, Kai, this badass mercenary who's been by your side this entire time, sends you on a quest for him. You see, he's been getting kind of sus, and he's been talking about missing someone. And when you go on a quest, you find out that he misses his old clan leader because they were a ragtag bunch of fellas that went on the craziest quests all across the country. We get drunk together, rough up people together, go treasure hunting. And then in one quest, you go to this clan leader's house because Kai finally has the courage to visit him and visit his memorial. And you find this necklace on his bedside table of an identical carved whale. And you find out that Kai carved this cute little whale figure for him so they could wear this necklace in secret together to confess their undying love for each other. You see, they never got to say it or express it, but deep down inside, they were made for each other. I'm not joking, but I wish I was. Kai is gay, and you just went on a quest so that he could finally come out of the closet. I mean, sweet story and all, but it's not fitting off the character or the scenario. It's like this dungeon master just wrote this up to get the girls to go, "Oh, I'm sorry, but I had to sideline this party member for the rest of the game because I didn't want him catching feelings for me, poor guy." And they somehow managed to ruin Marius's story too. This tough, take no crap from nobody, smart talking hunter dwarf goes from being a smartass to a depresso espresso in no time flat because he has childhood PTSD. In his quest, you take him back to the Dwarven fortress where he reunites with his parents, or I guess it's just like Dwarven elders who were there when he was just a little boy when he ran away. And his Dwarven elders are very cold and judgy, and he's like, "You get why I ran away now." But then you dig deeper and you learn that he was actually part of some weird religious cult. And you find the old village of his cult to find all the people dead except for one person, and this person was his childhood best friend. And his childhood best friend has caught the blight, so he isn't all there, but he still remembers him. And he recounts the story of them two as little boys being abused by the... Oh no. So I guess Marius the dwarf is some kind of SA survivor. And then the game hints that there was some sort of gay childhood romance between the two, because he's like, Tyrion's like, "I've never been able to say this before, but I love you."
Look, at this point, Avowed isn't a dark fantasy game. It is a young adult novel. Anyway, let's move on to the female characters. And I'm sorry, I do not remember all their names, or actually any of their names. And I don't care enough about these characters to actually open up the video game again and find the names. So I'll just make up names for them, I guess. First female character you meet is a smuggler who says that she was falsely imprisoned. Of course, if you care enough about the law, you can find the guard's diary and read about her, and you find out that she's actually badass and that the guards are stupid idiots. Then you meet some noble female commander who basically lays out the game for you, says you have to go meet this ambassador, and she warns you that the ambassador's a stupid guy. She also tells you that the Inquisitor's looking for her, and at this point she asks you to know the Inquisitor. And one of the options is, oh yes, we were lovers. I thought that was a joke. I've never played any of the Pillar games before, so I just chose, yeah, we used to be lovers. I thought that I would be making a joke. But no, that established that lore in the game that we were past lovers, which is kind of cool because the game now reacts to, oh, you once slept with her, which, I mean, I would take it back if I could, but I just let the story run. I think I've already talked about the Inquisitor. She's like the holy paladin for the human race. And of course, she is tough as nails, very scary, but because she's of the white race, she's very evil. Then you have the second in command to the Inquisitor, which is a female commander, which you can fight later on in the game or become friends with. And then there's the midget furry cat girl Yatzli, who ends up becoming one of your companions in the game. And if you flirt with her, she's quick to tell you that she has a boyfriend. And we'll get back to that boyfriend later. And then there is the Dwarven elder, who is loyal to her traditions and to her people, and not a snake who's willing to sell everything out for a bit of gold. And then there is the most powerful archmage in the entire world, who's also a female. Like I said, I don't remember their names, and I'm sure there are more female characters, but I'm 25 hours of the way through the game and I feel like it's about to come to a close. So yeah, all the important characters in the game are female. The ones that move the story forward are female. And the game even really tries to push that you should listen to your female companions over your male companions. Let me give you an example of this. There's a very important choice later in the game that you have to make. The Inquisitor will give you the option of destroying the ruins to slow down the spread of the blight. The Archmage will offer an ultimatum. Instead of destroying the Holy Land and these ruins, she can use magic to cleanse this area of the blight, but at a cost, and the cost is human life. She says anywhere between 12 to 200 people might die, but you're making a small sacrifice for the greater good. Obviously, I went with the Inquisitor's option of destroying the ruins to stop the blight from spreading and those infected from coming out of it. When I got back to camp, I got an earful of listening to that stupid colonizing white bitch, and the game made it very clear that I had made the wrong choice. So I reloaded the save and went back and chose the Archmage's option, which is basically genocide. When I went back to camp that night, the guys were very upset at me and they're like, bro, this is not the way. You don't get to play God and choose who lives and dies. And I'm thinking to myself, right? I agree with these guys. No, they're right. I made the wrong decision. And the game reaffirms me in my decision, saying I needed to make a sacrifice for the greater good, like cracking an egg to make an omelet or something like that, and saying basically the guys don't know what they're talking about. You should not listen to guys' opinion in this game. If there's anything you know from playing this game for 20 hours, is the guys are all stupid. I've been yapping for 15 minutes about this game, and I'm about to wrap it up. I just want to tell you about 2 small quests that had me literally on the floor rolling and laughing. So right after choosing genocide, the Archmage looks at Yatzli, the little furry, who's a big fan of the Archmage, and she offers her a job opportunity to study under her and become her apprentice. And she's really excited about that. Now she, later at camp, asks you for advice. Should she take the Archmage up on her offer? Now let me remind you that the world is falling apart. People are dying. The lands are being infected. And she has a boyfriend or husband. We also basically Thanos snapped half of everybody out of existence to use them as weed killer. So her boyfriend is probably very lonely right now and has lost all of his friends. And you do get the option of saying, wait, and leave your boyfriend in a time like this? Of course, that is the wrong option to choose. You should choose support her career and encourage her to go and study under the Archmage who just killed nearly everyone. There's another quest in the game where you stumble upon an orc who is 10 feet tall and he has a little girl captive. You go up and you talk to the orc and you go, why do you have this little girl captive? And he's like, she attacked me. She's a 5 foot something white girl who sells flowers. He's a 10 foot tall orc built like a wall who has a weapon called the Limb Remover, which is one of the most powerful weapons in the game so far. Anyway, he gives you an option. He says, look, I'm not feeling well. If you go on a fetch quest for me and get these ingredients for me, then I can take the medicine and feel better and I'll let the girl go. If you don't do this for me, she dies. Two things come to my mind. First, he's a massive orc. I'm not going to give him something that's going to make him stronger. Second of all, he kidnapped a little white girl. He's a monster. He deserves to die. And of course, I was getting fed up with this game at this point. I didn't want to go on another fetch quest, so I just killed him. After killing the orc and saving this girl's life, she comes at me with what I can only assume is a lecture about racism. She makes me feel bad about not saving his life, saying that violence was not the choice here. You see, orcs are misunderstood and his head wasn't right because he had a tummy ache. So crap, according to the game, I committed some type of hate crime. I think you guys have heard enough of Avowed. By this point, you probably know that I would not recommend this game to you. Maybe for your wives or your girlfriends, but be warned, this game might be a gateway drug that leads them into investing in healing crystals. This is not a game for guys, and I just wanted to make this video and get it out there as soon as possible, just to do you guys a solid and warn you before you play it this weekend. Anyway, I'm Doxa. I hope you enjoyed this drop of knowledge. If you liked this video, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are in the world. God bless, and remember, Christ is King.